The City of St. John's has declared a state of emergency. We'll get to that in just a moment, but first we'll take a quick look outside at the weather. Outdoors, St. John's, as you see, not much visible on that camera. Blowing snow, blizzard-like conditions. Kitty Lake, also not much to see there. Corner Brook, a nice calm morning there. Grand Falls, Windsor, snowy conditions there as well. Actually, they're getting some office closures there as well. And the City of St. John's has declared a state of emergency. Eastern Newfoundland is being pummeled by a blizzard that could set records by the end of the day. NTV's David Salter joins me live with more. David?
Yes, Michael, as you said, state of emergency declared by the City of St. John's at 11 a.m. Just about the time myself and reporter Beth Penny were coming in off the roads. And to us, no surprise that this state of emergency has been called. Very treacherous driving conditions in St. John's in the metro region, especially in open areas, the blowing snow, virtually no visibility at all. You're driving up to intersections before you would see a traffic light. Almost impossible, like I said, to see any vehicles on the road in front of you or approaching intersections. Very dangerous driving conditions, and I think the city obviously made a very smart decision to declare a state of emergency.
That's NTV's David Salter reporting live for us this morning. Now we're going to check in with our meteorologist, Eddie Shear, who is online to give us an update on what we can expect from this storm for the rest of the day. And we're just waiting for Eddie to come online now. Eddie?
So I'm basically stuck at home here, Mike. The roads are very dangerous. There's a state of emergency, and by the time I was trying to kind of get into work, seems like it was a bit too late. So I'm monitoring everything here from home, and I'm going to keep everybody up to date on NTV as good as I can from my office in the basement here of the house. But as David was saying, weather conditions in the St. John's Metro are very bad right now. We are seeing very high winds and very heavy snowfall, and if you're hoping this is going to ease off anytime soon, the answer looks to be no. We've seen 29 centimeters of snow so far, and we are just getting going. That might be like only 1/3 of the possible snow that we might see today by the time the snow does wrap up as we go into later in the overnight and early Saturday morning. As we take a look at our 4 webcams again, we can see where it is snowing and what it does look like out there. As we take a look at St. John's and Kitty Lake, visibilities are very much cut down because of the snow and the blowing snow. Into the Corner Brook area, we're not too bad. Grand Falls, Windsor, when that camera was working just a minute ago, we did see it was snowing back that way as well. But a closer look in toward the St. John's Metro. Here's our sky cam overlooking New Gower Street. You can see that's being blown around quite a bit. And visibility not much farther than mile 1 center. A couple hundred meters, that really is about it. Airport currently reporting -3. Visibility back up to 400 meters. Which is not very high, was 200 meters last hour, so we've seen a slight improvement in the visibility, which means the snowfall rates have lightened up just a touch, but it's still snowing very heavily, and the winds are gusting 83. Those winds are only going to pick up as we go throughout the afternoon and evening, and for many areas across eastern, northeastern Newfoundland, winds late this afternoon, and this evening are going to gust as high as 120, 140, perhaps as high as 150. So conditions are going to get even worse than they are now, which is kind of hard to imagine. THORBURN Road, not much traffic out. That is certainly good. The state of emergency is in effect for the City of St. John's. It does look like roads are pretty terrible shape right now, and as we go up into CBS, snowing up that way as well with our webcam from the Royal Newfoundland Yacht Club. Now, so far as the current warnings go from Environment Canada, we have a blizzard warning in place from the Avalon Peninsula as far west as Bay of Exploits on the Notre Dame Bay side of things. And on the south coast as far west as Canagera, all this area is going to see very high winds and heavy amounts of snow. And once we get west of there, a little bit less in the way of snow, a little bit more in the way of wind, hence the wind warnings and the blowing snow advisories. As we take a look at the other warning as well, in effect, the storm surge warning from Notre Dame Bay all the way around to the southern shore for a higher than normal high tide tonight and tomorrow morning from pounding waves from northerly winds and northerly swells. Waves late tonight and tomorrow as high as 12 meters. High tide tide potentially 80 centimeters above normal. So if you have some interest along the coast, certainly keep that in mind. And if you want to go look at the waves, you probably won't see them today because it's snowing so hard. Just make sure you keep plenty of distance away from the beaches because those waves and the surf can come up very, very high very, very quickly. So here's the live radar imagery I'm sharing with you right now. As you can see there on your screen, we have the dark greens and the yellows indicating intense areas of snowfall. It does look like the heaviest snow right now, though, is up towards Bay de Verde and the northern part of the Avalon Peninsula, where we have that dark green and yellow band showing up. That being said, all areas are seeing fairly heavy snowfall across the Avalon Peninsula, pushing back towards central areas of Newfoundland as we speak this afternoon. And that's just going to continue to happen as we go throughout the afternoon and evening hours as our area of low pressure is just beginning to ramp up. As I set the radar into motion, you can see that snow pushing back towards the north and west, but what's going to happen shortly is that heavy snow band on the Avalon is going to become stationary and almost pivot from northeast southwest to northwest southeast, and that's what's going to keep the heaviest snow going on the Avalon as we head into the evening hours, and that's why I'm expecting such heavy snowfall amounts by the time we're said and done as we go into this evening. So far as our area of low pressure is concerned, we can see that just as I back the view out a little bit more, we can see that swirl there south of Newfoundland, east of Nova Scotia. That is our low, and until that clears eastern Newfoundland, which it will not do until later tonight and tomorrow, our weather is not going to improve, and in fact, as it gets closer and closer, the weather is just going to get worse and worse as we head into this afternoon and evening. Still expecting 60 to perhaps as much as 80 centimeters of snow on the northeast Avalon, with 40 to 60 as we head farther south and just west of the Avalon, and then lesser amounts from there. But again, the bigger problem, I think, in conjunction with the heavy snow is going to be very high winds this evening, potentially gusting 130 to 150 across portions of the Avalon, Bonavista Peninsula, and the Bonavista Bay area this evening. I'm watching this all very closely. We'll talk about snowfall amounts and everything in more detail and timing out hour by hour, either later on Newsday or this afternoon at times as we go throughout NTV, as I'll be updating you as much as I can throughout the day. Live here on air and obviously online. Mike, back to you for now.
Thank you very much, Eddie. That's NTV's Eddie Shear reporting live for us. And just another note, a couple of other bulletins in. The city of Mount Pearl and the town of Paradise have both also now declared state of emergencies. Residents there are asked to stay off the roads, emergency vehicles only until the state of emergency lifted. So St. John's, Mount Pearl, and Paradise have all now officially declared states of emergency.